Energy, energy, energy. Okay. I'm sure that every one of us at some point in our careers has logged into a VILT, a Virtual Instructor-Led training. And I imagine that as you logged onto that VILT, you were hoping that it would be interactive and engaging, that this world-class facilitator would have thought of some teaching methodology to reach past Ethernet cords and involve you, a distance learner, beyond a boring lecture. But what happened 7 minutes in? Do you remember? You were already disengaged. This class wasn't interactive at all. In fact, I bet you couldn't wait to log off the moment you heard the facilitator say, "Oh, don't worry about jotting that down. I'll send you a copy of my slides later." Ugh. I'll send you a copy of my slides. That's possibly the most damaging thing a facilitator can say to a digital audience. I'm sure that file is a great resource, but was it worth $99 from you as a participant? And what about you as a facilitator? Why would you trap your presentation into a file that can be summed up with bullet points on a white canvas? Is your PowerPoint the presentation, or are you the presentation? Well, hopefully you answered no to both of those questions. So now you're probably thinking, well, what can I do to improve, Ben? I'm glad you asked. I want you to keep in mind the phrase, direct their learning, control their focus. So what exactly does this mean? Well, let's talk about it. First, direct their learning. Begin your class by saying, now hopefully you've downloaded the participant guide. I want you to keep this guide open all throughout the class so you can jot down the notes and insights you have during our course. Set the ground rules up front that they're going to be taking notes during this interactive session and that they're not going to lazily sit back and receive the slides later. Also, I should note that it's called a participant guide, to guide the participant through their learning. It's not a manual, okay? A manual is a picture book I get from IKEA when I want to assemble furniture. As you bring up key points, use trigger phrases to help direct their learning. Say things like, now I want you to jot this down in your participant guide, or underline the definition found on page 8 in your participant guide. The more that you, as the facilitator, can highlight the notes that they should be taking, the more you direct their curious minds to key takeaways. And if they're saying that there's not enough time to take the notes that you're describing, highlight for them which notes they should be taking by using on-screen indicators or verbal repetition. It doesn't hurt to say something twice to make sure they get it down in their notes. Remember, if they miss this session, they miss out on the notes. Next, let's talk about control their focus. Desktop windows are a direct representation of an adult learner's attention span. You don't want your presentation buried 3 windows back, behind an email thread and a current game of Minesweeper. The more on-screen action you can offer, the better. Create a learning environment for them that they're not going to want to leave from. You've got chat boxes at your disposal, so use them. Ask questions on the fly and keep their focus on the current window. You can use whiteboard activities to play Pictionary with your participants, or you can even have them draw concepts that you're describing. Make your environment one that encourages volunteering. And be comfortable with silence, because once you ask for a volunteer, there's going to be a long pause before someone responds. But believe me, a brave soul will volunteer, and everyone else is going to clue up with deep focus to see if that person makes a mistake. It's very cruel, but hey, it's got their attention. Finally, create games and interactions that your learners can participate in. Set up a breakout room where, as a team, your learners can order items from greatest to least. Or you can do this in a large group debrief using drag and drop. Remember, you, as a navigator, have control over what they see when they see it. So, what have we learned? Well, that you're more than your PowerPoint. That the experience you create in a virtual classroom cannot be replicated. If your participants missed out on this session, they missed out on the notes. And you can accomplish this with great results if you remember to direct their learning and control their focus. Participants will be raving about how your class was interactive and engaging, comical at times, and perhaps scary at times. It creates an experience for them from which they can anchor their learning about this particular concept. I should mention that at Acumen Learning, we currently do all of that in our VILTs. So email us at info@acumenlearning.com to find out more.